It is the Blitz. Welcome aboard 1250 ESPN San Antonio, 94.5 FM. He's Jason Minnix. I'm Rob Thompson. And if you are on the proper device, you will see the big right arm of Kevin Mawae. The Dietz Tractor Big Game coverage continues. Brought to you by AA Best Bail Bond Southern Recipe Small Batch Pork Rinds. Our cavalcade of Hall of Famers continues as we'd like to welcome on the show a great football player that I'm excited to talk with. Kevin Mawae, welcome aboard, my friend. It's glad to have you aboard.
All right. Thanks for having me, man. I'm glad to be with you guys.
Appreciate you taking the time as we get ready for the Super Bowl down in Tampa Bay. And it's kind of strange that we're not on Radio Row right now, that we're not in Tampa Bay, that we're doing this virtually. You know, you had the Hall of Fame NFL career, but you also right now are on the coaching staff with Herm Edwards there at Arizona State. And, you know, I've got a daughter there at ASU. I understand how difficult this football season was. What was it like on the inside of the building trying to put together a football season?
Yeah, well, things have changed since the season ended, so I'm no longer on staff here at ASU. I've moved on. I've joined another program, but I'm not able to tell where yet because they haven't made it public. But
oh, come on, just break some news for us.
It's a new opportunity for me and one that I'm excited about. But but as far as being at ASU this year, it's just hard with the COVID thing. You know, we expected a big season, and we went to a 6-game season. Like after the first game, we ended up canceling 3 games. It was just a difficult up and down season for everybody. But we got through the 4 games that we played, and fortunately for all the student athletes that want to come back, they're able to come back and be a part of the program again. So we'll see what happens with them.
Kevin Mawae joining us here on ESPN San Antonio. Class of 2019 Hall of Famer and a football coach. Kevin, was that always the plan? Did you intend on headed toward coaching?
Well, I had 2 choices when I left LSU back in the day. It was go to the Army or go into football. And I chose football. It worked out really well for me. And after I retired, I took some time away from the game deliberately just to get away. My kids were in high school. I knew coaching might be in the future, but not while they were in high school. Since then, you know, we're empty nesters, and we have been for about 4 years now. So it's been a 7-year process for me to get a coaching job, and I finally got one. But my daughter's at the University of Hawaii. My son was living in South Florida, and so this is an opportune time for us. But you know, after I got away from the game, I started training guys individually. Had a bunch of clients, you know, junior high all the way to the pros, and that was fun. But I wanted to take a group of 5 guys, mold them together, and teach them how to play as a unit. And so that's kind of where I started. I started volunteering at LSU, and then, you know, of course, I went to training camps at different places, and I locked on here at ASU, and now I've got an opportunity to join the staff, and so I'm excited about it.
Well, and you think about, you know, you took a little bit of time before you got into coaching. I look at like Jason Witten announces his retirement, and yesterday it was announced he's going to be the head coach at a private high school in the Dallas area. I saw Phillip Rivers is doing the same thing, and I'm curious, okay, you go from the NFL to coaching high school, or, you know, in your mind, do you take, is that just kind of the decompression kind of year where you see if you like coaching?
Yeah, I think everybody does it differently. For me, I retired in 2009. 2010, I actually was a volunteer intern at Vanderbilt University. I was working out there, and I didn't sign anywhere, so they just invited me to stay for the season, and I did, and I really enjoyed it. The next year, I got hired on at a Montgomery Bell Academy, an all-boys school in Nashville, Tennessee, and I kind of weaned myself off of it, and then I took a year off, and then I started volunteering at LSU, and so I kind of got off of it, got back on it. But when I did, it was a purposeful decision for me to do it. But I think it's a great way for guys to transition out of the league, because it's hard to go from playing 22 weeks in a row, 23 weeks in a row to not doing anything. And so to go to a high school level and enjoy a lesser level of competition, but to where you can sow into young men, I think it's a pretty neat way of doing it. Chad Pennington started a high school football program in Lexington, Kentucky, where his 3 boys are now playing. Mark Brunell was a head coach at a private school before he just got hired on as quarterback coach with Dan Campbell. And it's a great opportunity for guys to give back to the game and really to see if this is what you want to do. because, obviously the higher the level you go into college and even in the pros, it's, the time demands get a little bit more extreme than you did as a football player. But I always commend guys that decide to go back in high school and junior high and give back to the game. I coached junior high, the lower junior high, fifth and sixth graders for 2 years. I had a blast doing it. It was the funnest thing I've ever done.
Yeah, for those of us that have been involved with youth sports, you'll never have more fun than a fifth grade team. You learn a lot about yourself and your patience when you deal with stuff like that.
This is what I did learn in that process is for guys that played at a high level, Philip Rivers, myself, Mark Brunell, guys like that, Jason Witten. When you coach young kids, you have to figure out a way to teach them all that you know in a very simple way. And that's not an easy thing to do. Like, things look easy for Jason Witten playing tight end and Mark Brunell and Philip Rivers, but to teach a fifth grader to throw the out route on his second step, or to teach an offensive lineman in the fifth grade how to skip, pull, and turn around the corner to block a linebacker. If you can communicate to a fifth grader how to do that, you can coach anybody. I mean, and it really is, because you have to simplify the game in a way that makes them understand it. And that's what I did. And so just because you're a great player doesn't mean you can be a great coach, but you'll test yourself by going coaching them younger level guys.
I kind of wish you'd start coaching the offensive line that the Cowboys had this past year with all the different backups. All the great ones were out injured most of the year, and what the Cowboys had out there looked like they needed somebody to teach them on that fifth grade level you just explained.
Well, sometimes it's about the X's and O's, and it's others about the Jimmies and the Joes.
Jimmies and Joes.
Guys that can't do it. Look, everybody thought Tom Brady was washed up and done. It was all about the Patriots way. Well, he proved everybody wrong. It was all about Tom Brady, and one guy can't make a difference. And I think the Patriots found that out, as did BA and the guys down at Tampa. So the Jimmies and Joes got to execute the X's and O's. And so I don't care how great your scheme is. If you don't have the guys to do it, then you're just going to be an average team.
He's Kevin Mawae, one of the greatest to ever do it. All-decade teamer, the 2000s Hall of Famer. Let's talk about coaching an offensive line. Jason just brought up the line and the troubles that you deal with. This is more of on a broader scheme. When you're coaching this ballet that is the five guys that are on an offensive line, and injuries occur, when you're talking about tackles or guards having to move to different positions, and this kind of will apply this weekend, maybe considering some COVID tests that might apply. What positions move easier? Is it about the athlete, or do guards go to tackle easier, or do tackles go to guard easier? What's your experience with that?
Well, I think they're not the same position. It's not a plug-and-play position group. There are guys that are specifically tailored to play the offensive tackle position because of their length, their athleticism, there's that kind of thing. And there are guys that are strictly guards because they don't have the body type, or they don't have the fluidity or whatever. And lots of times when you have a lesser player, you try to hide them. Like if you have an average guard, you hide them between an all-pro tackle and a great center. And not everybody. The pet peeve I have is just play him at center. Just let him go snap the football. Well, everybody takes for granted the idea of having to snap a football. It's not the easiest thing in the world to do, and not everybody can do it. So there are going to be guys that can move around and play different spots. But typically, if you have your third tackle is going to be a swing tackle and go right or left, or you have an inside-outside swing guy. And the reason why he's the swing guy is because he's not good enough to start at either one of the positions, but he's good enough and serviceable to get through a game or a series at multiple spots. And so it's not just an easy thing to take a natural guard and move him out to tackle. A few years ago, Alan Faneca played guard, and then he had to have him play like 6 or 8 games at the left tackle spot. Not his natural position. He held his own, but it's just not an easy thing to do. And for the layperson to think, I just move him to guard. It's not that easy. Things happen faster at the guard spot. Things fly, things cross your face. And if you're not used to that, it's hard for a tackle just to move down in there and where it's a little bit noisier than being one-on-one at the tackle spot.
Well, and I'm curious, as you're explaining all of that as well, and you look at Kansas City's going to be without a tackle in the Super Bowl, the biggest game of the year. So you're going to have some guy starting that hasn't been there all year, but then the amount of RPO that the Chiefs run, how much more complicated is an RPO play for an offensive lineman?
Well, it's actually pretty good if you're the backside tackle because you're usually reading that defensive end. You're not blocking him. You don't have to worry about it. But, I think about the Kansas City Chiefs. A lot of their RPO, they're all a lot of play action type stuff. So when they do run the play action, you sell the run and you settle on the pass. And so it makes it a little bit easier. But, you got to think between Andy Reid and Bieniemy, they're going to do what they can to protect him if they feel like they need to, whether you have a running back chip, split flow on the action in the backfield to help off the edge and stuff like that. But look, we've all seen Mahomes do his thing. You can send 10 guys on him and not block 8 of them, and he'll still make something happen. And that's what's special about them. But I think I said, was it one of their centers as well tested positive? Or
backup center.
False positive? Yeah.
In the protocol.
But the hard part is, like, you go in and when you go into the big game as a starting tackle, and the backup's like, okay, I just got to be ready. And then you're like, 72 hours from kickoff, and you're like, oh, crap, I'm going to be starting in the biggest game of my life. And, but next man up. I mean, that's how it works in this business. And you got to be ready to roll when it's time for you to roll.
Kevin Mawae joining us here on the Blitz. For the last 9 Super Bowls, a team of Wounded Warrior amputees has taken on a team of NFL alumni in a flag football game. Sadly, that's not going to happen this year. And, while it's always about the camaraderie, and this is what I want to talk to you right now about, Kevin. You are a military type. There's not a whole lot of people outside of San Antonio or in the military community that have any idea about where Fliegenhorst Army Field might be. But Jason and I do. We've spent some time in Germany. One of the things that I've heard, the thread of conversation, and you brought BJ Ganem with you of Sierra Delta, and we're always glad to talk with BJ, a good friend of the show, is that kinsmanship, that camaraderie that players and coaches have that's been a thread in your life from just about the time you were born. You grow up in the military. You understand what it's like to be a part of a team from the very first time you understand what your daddy does or your mama does, and you kind of carry that with you. And certainly you've been exemplary with that, using that military background to take yourself forward. Tell us about the Wounded Warriors and your experience with those guys.
Yeah, I had being a military brat, my dad's stationed at Fort Polk, Louisiana, was his last duty assignment, and they still live there. And having grown up in a military base and being around military kids and military families, you understand the lifestyle. Fortunately for my dad, for us growing up, it was during peacetime. My dad did serve 2 years, 2 tours in Vietnam, and just recently he started talking about that. So there's that element to it. But watching families have to watch their dads go to the field or go on maneuvers, and then most recently in these last several years, being deployed to Afghanistan, Iraq, and Kuwait, and all these other places, I have an understanding of that. I might not have experienced firsthand my dad having to go to war, but I know he did. And so you have you can empathize with them and understand the life that they have to live. I think the most courageous person in a military family is a military wife. She gets left with 3 or 4 kids at the doorstep, and doesn't know if her husband's going to come home. And so to know what that is like, in some sense, as a kid growing up you have a great deal of respect for the military. It's never a time where I see a man in uniform or somebody that has served, I look down upon him, knowing what my dad did for 23 years of his life, and he did it willingly. And so to be with guys like Sergeant Ganem, he doesn't like to be called Sarge because he's not anymore, but I still respect the rank that he served
Always.
But there's a level of respect that goes there because they went there and they did it voluntarily, and some of them came back. Many of them came back different people, both physically and mentally. And so, the Wounded Warriors is one project. I've been involved in fundraising for that when I was a dean at high school, and know what they're all about. And offering things to help Wounded Warriors and getting homes and jobs and help. And then the greatest thing that like Sergeant Ganem works with is Sierra Delta, where they find companion dogs, whether it be trained companions or service animals, things like that. Sometimes you just need a buddy, and that's what being in the military is all about. You have your battle buddies, in the football, you have your teammates, your locker room buddies, and you don't step on the field without them being by your side. And it's the same thing with the military, and of course, Sarge can talk to you about that more than I can, but just be able to get behind something like that that serves our military, serves the people in uniform who have lost a lot and gave up even a whole lot more, and so yeah, I'm excited about being able to promote this, and I'm just kind of a little bummed that we can't play in the flag football game this year.
I know.
You know, I had one play left, and I thought I was going to use it in a flag football game. I'm going to have to use it down the road.
We'll use it down the road. And then BJ Ganem, it looks like you're actually in Tampa Bay with Sierra Delta. And, we've had you on many times talking about Sierra Delta and all the great work that you do. If somebody is listening and has not heard about Sierra Delta, tell us about what you guys are doing and the importance of being on Super Bowl Radio Row.
Well, I tell you right now, it's not the same without Jason and Rob, without you guys here. Like, I almost want to just go home.
Well, you got to find somebody else to pick up the tab later. That's what I'm hearing.
There's nobody here. I think I'm the one picking up the tab. But, it is important for us to be down here. And, we're putting on this dog walk on Saturday morning before Super Bowl. And we're going to just try to bring people together. I mean, I know we all got a social distance, but I think, for me personally, I miss people and I miss being around, especially down in San Antonio. That's a military family. That's a military town. And, we've played there a couple times and we just need that again. And that's what we're trying to do. And it's great to have, a Hall of Famer like Kevin here to help us spread this mission and help us get out there so we can help all vets, whether it's with a companion dog like Kevin talked about or a full-blown service dog. But this is what it takes. It takes getting out here and talking about it. I was lucky enough to have COVID and have mild reaction to it back in July. So I'm out here, we're being safe, but we wanted to be out here and have the opportunity to talk about what Sierra Delta is doing for all of our vets and that we miss being out there and being able to play flag football with these guys. But, next year, hopefully LA, you guys will be here picking up the tabs and we'll be out there playing that flag football game and bringing it back around and bringing a lot of dogs and putting a lot of behind this mission of Sierra Delta and helping all vets and more dogs find their way home together.
He's BJ Ganem. He's a Wounded Warrior Amputee football team member. The Sarge, as Kevin Mawae called him. Yes, you can help. Go to SierraDelta.com. The game isn't going to happen, but the need for the funds is still there. You can help. Go to SierraDelta.com. You'll see what we're talking about, a companion dog. And as Kevin just said, sometimes you just need a buddy to pull you through, and maybe it's four-legged or two-legged. It doesn't matter. You just got to get through. Hey, it's always a pleasure to catch up with BJ, but, you bring the best guys with you, BJ, when you show up. Kevin Mawae, we appreciate the gold jackets that you bring, man. Congratulations on the football coaching career. It's been a pleasure speaking with you, sir. It's been an honor.
Oh, it's been great. Thank you guys so much. And I know you guys are in the Fort Hood, San Antonio area. So if you're a military member there serving, just thank you for your service and all that you do, you and your families, and sacrifices you make for our country. This country wouldn't be what it is without you guys fighting for our freedom and our victory. So thank you guys so much. And fellas, appreciate you guys. And go check it out, SierraDelta.com. See how you can help the veterans and do that. And then, of course, the Wounded Warriors Project is another one. So do what you can to help out. And maybe next year we'll be able to get on that football field again with these guys.
That's right.
Appreciate your time, guys.
San Antonio, apply.
One more.
Apply to Sierra Delta. We'll help you out. If you're a vet there in San Antonio, I don't care what area you are. You didn't have to serve in combat. You don't have to be broken, man. Come join this community. Be a part of this. We're rebuilding our team. There's 18 million of us, and we're dying off fast. Let's get together, and let's all find our way home with a dog.
Appreciate you, gentlemen. It's very enlightening and insightful. You guys take care of yourselves. Stay safe. Yeah, we're in the football game next year in LA. We'll get back at it.